thank you. I don't have an opponent yet. Hello up there. I don't have an opponent yet, so I don't really have a stump speech. And so you'll forgive me if I jotted down a few things that I wanted to say. First of all, Susan Montee, who is the chairman of the party, has just come in, and very hopefully the next lieutenant governor of the state of Missouri. So first, let me say thank you to the people who helped put this together. Of course, Steve and Andrea, thank you for opening up this beautiful home of yours, and the food spread is incredible, and your home is absolutely lovely, and so thank you so much for doing that. Steve Six is here, the former Attorney General of the state of Kansas. Steve? The King of Jackson County is here. County Executive Mike Sanders, where is he? My dear friend Jolie Justus, colleague in State Senate. Sheriff Mike Sharp was here and had to leave. Theresa Garaza Ruiz is here. Theresa, thank you. Cindy Circo is here. Cindy, raise your hand. Jan Marcason is here. Scott Wagner is here. Scott, thank you very much. I think I've got the elected. Oh, Jason Kander is here. Jason. Okay. The first thing I want to say is that I miss Kansas City. I came to Kansas City. Maurice was probably one of the people who saw me on the first, just about the first day I got here.
Don't go back too far.
I'm not going to start it again. It was February 3rd, 1994. February 3rd, 1993. I got to Kansas City, and I literally knew 3 people. And I missed Kansas City because even though I grew up in St. Louis and I spent a lot of time in the mid part of the state, there is really no town like Kansas City in the way that it opens its heart and its doors to outsiders. This town gets along better, it is more progressive, and I had the great privilege of being at the Kaufman Performing Arts Center the other night for what I think is one of the great nights in this town's history. It was the capstone of an era that started with the Brush Creek redevelopment and the downtown federal courthouse, and the complete redevelopment from 14th Street through to Pershing Square. And you know, there was 2 times, I'm not embarrassed to say, there were 2 times I was moved to tears the other night at the Kaufman Performing Arts Center. The first time was when Patti LuPone came on stage. And I've had a crush on Patti LuPone since I was 15 years old. My mother raised me on Broadway records, and it just is what it is. The second was when Mrs. Kaufman opened up the big windows at the dinner, and the fireworks display showed the outside of that building, and it was a remarkable moment that really just showed what a town can achieve when it gets along and works together and cares about each other. And there are so many communities in this state that could learn so much from Kansas City, and one of the hard parts about working in state government, and I'm sure Claire kind of feels the same thing, is it's hard to get back to see all the people that you love and care about. And so the first thing I want to say is that I miss Kansas City. The second thing I want to say is because of the people, largely the people who are here, who've got me started and helped me do what I do, I am getting a chance to live out my dream. I interned at the Attorney General's office when I was 25, 26 years old, and got a younger man's vision of what that office is and what it can be. It took me 16, 20 years, however long it was, to work my way back to doing what I wanted to do for my adult life. I have a different view of it now. It's an older view. I just had my 47th birthday. But honestly, and I mean this quite sincerely, it is more the view of what that Attorney General's office, our Attorney General's office, accomplishes and does and means for people, helping folks, is actually bigger and more, joyful, more hopeful, more powerful, if you will, than even it was in a 26-year-old mind. I mean, even as you become more realistic, the older you get, this office is a very special place. And I get to walk into an office and flip on the lights where Jack Danforth sat, where Tom Eagleton sat, and where for 16 years Jay Nixon sat. And there's a letter that I keep on the wall that Governor Nixon put in my drawer when I walked in that first day, and it says, you know, stand up for the poor, stand up for the sick, stand up for the people who don't have a voice. This is what this office is about. Jay Nixon set an incredible tone in that office for 16 years. I try my best to live up to it. And I have 400 people who work with me who help us accomplish that. And it means the fact that you people help me get started means a great deal. That's the second thing I want to say. Two other quick things. One, this office continues to really be very close to the law enforcement community. Law enforcement at the beginning of the day, in the middle of the day, at the end of the day is what this office is about. We are currently prosecuting 57 homicides right now around the state. We have assembled some of the finest prosecutors in the entire state of Missouri. We have many of them around the state. And we are working, if people don't realize that, 57 different homicides we are working right now. It's been 50 years since Tom Eagleton was Attorney General of the state of Missouri. It's been 50 years since a prosecutor got to serve as Attorney General. I got to come to Kansas City, a little less than a year ago and try a homicide. Was the first prosecutor in anybody, or first AG in anybody's memory who came to town and tried a homicide start to finish. I try and keep my skill set fresh from the days in Cass County, but law enforcement ultimately is what this office is about, and we stay very close to those values. We also stay very close to the values that were formed in Cass County, and that is my friendship with a lot of the men who are here, men and women, as part of the organized labor community in Kansas City and the surrounding region. I promised the folks that when I went to Jefferson City, we would make prevailing wage enforcement not just a Cass County priority, but a state priority. And so this is the first administration in the history of the Attorney General's office in Missouri that has carried that value to the fullest extent, where we have placed contractors who have willfully broken the prevailing wage law, which is a criminal law in this state, just like any other criminal law in this state, and placed these companies who willfully violate this law on the state's debarment list, which means that when they willfully break the law, they can't do business with a city, a county, or the state of Missouri for a period of 1 year. And so the Attorney General's office now is trying to send a message that this prevailing wage law is just like every other criminal law, and it's going to be enforced border to border. And one of the last things that I want to say that is not something you usually say in political speeches, but is something that among friends I do want to mention, because in a lot of ways it's incredibly important to me, and I think it should be important to all of us as citizens. And that is simply the issue of professionalism in Jefferson City. And it's little things like demanding that lawyers write well, demanding that lawyers answer constituents' telephone calls on the same day that they arrive, demanding that constituents' emails are returned quickly, and that we understand that we are the law firm for the state. We have 6 million bosses, and no matter who they are, no matter if they are the richest individual in Kansas City and St. Louis, or the poorest individual, whether they have a criminal record or they've been a model citizen, they are all Missourians. We serve every single one of them, and we serve them with respect. And leadership in these divisions of Jefferson City and trying to foster a notion of true professionalism in Jefferson City is incredibly important to me. The difficulties in the economy that have hurt some of the private sector law firms have actually brought some of the best and the brightest young talent in coming out of law schools in the state of Missouri to the Attorney General's office. I think we have 2 of the last 5 editors-in-chief of the University of Missouri Law Review who is working with the Attorney General's office. I would say that of the 80 lawyers that we have hired in the last 3.5 years, and you have to keep in mind that a lot of the lawyers went over to the administration when Governor Nixon left, so there were a lot of people that had to be hired. Of the 80 lawyers that we have hired, I bet that 70 of them are in the top 20% of their class. I mean, I'm looking at Maurice here. These are smart, hard-working, professional men and women that Blackwell Sanders, which was a great law firm that gave me my start and for which I'm undyingly thankful, that Blackwell Sanders or Brian Cave or any firm in this state would be proud to have. And we want you to know that we get that you are our boss and we're here to serve you. Mary Danduran is here. I'd like Mary to raise her hand. Mary is the wife of Judge Joe Danduran, who for 20 years was the judge in the 17th Judicial Circuit and then was on the Western District Court of Appeals and then came to serve as Deputy Attorney General and helped me run the office on a daily basis, and it does an incredible job accomplishing these goals, you know, bringing this sense of professionalism to state government. And Matt Dameron is in the red tie in the back. He is the Chief of Staff. Everybody knows Matt, everybody knows Ben, and Matt is also, you know, one of the men who makes the trains run on time every day. So, the purpose of tonight is to say the obvious, that I'm running for re-election for Attorney General of the state of Missouri. And I am doing it in order to further the values of this Democratic Party and to serve the 6 million Missourians that each and every one of us value so highly. Thank you very much for your friendship.